Welcome to another away mission here at A Strange New Pod. I am your captain and host this week, Julian, and yes, I defied my first officer's wishes, beaming down. Joining my away team this week, as usual, the strapping young ensign, Brittany, Geordie LaForged Holmes, catching me off guard, and then making sure that we have a transporter lock at all times, Rear Admiral Erik. Hawk is on shore leave tonight, but I just want to say you're all my number ones.
I'm a self-rescuing princess.
You are a self-rescuing princess.
Nice.
Love it.
I love how our countdown ends with one.
It
all
does.
Countdowns do.
As all countdowns do. Yeah, so Hawk's on shore leave tonight, but we will carry the torch this episode without him. We will see him again next week. And then hello to everyone out there in Twitch world. Glory to you in your house. Feel free to keep the comments and questions coming all show long. And then if you're listening to this later, either as a podcast or via YouTube, you have undoubtedly seen some of the big changes we've made to A Strange New Pod that we're very excited about. So take a look at those. It's going to be awesome, and we hope you enjoy them. So, as always, a big thank you to Sam Dillard and Samo Studios for our awesome intro and outro music. And if you're joining us on stream tonight and might be a little tired, I know you guys are a bit tired. I'm a bit tired. Check out our awesome friends at Logical Coffee who keep our warp cores going critical.
Tired of fresh coffee that loses its kick and tastes the same as every other brand? Unlike coffee that sits on a store shelf weeks after it's roasted, Logical Coffee is made to order and starts with fresh green coffee beans. This Star Trek-themed coffee is roasted to perfection in small batches and sealed away in one-way valve bags as soon as it cools. Your coffee will arrive on your doorstep with the roast date right on the bag, so you know it's the freshest coffee in the Alpha Quadrant. A cup of warp drive? Make it so. Ah, it's out of this world. Don't settle for the same replicated coffee. Make the logical choice and order Logical Coffee. Use the code AStrangeNewPod to get 20% off your first order. Live long and drink coffee.
Yummy, yummy, yummy. Love my Logical Coffee. I rhymed. Yay!
I don't know if I
Yay.
still remember that just because of doing it or the fact that I hear it every episode, but like I literally like mouth along with it.
I mean, that's okay. That's totally cool.
It's okay.
Every now and then we get a bit of Star Trek news before our episodes, and boy, did we get some awesome news this week from the virtual New York Comic-Con panel. In an awesomely shocking announcement during that panel, we found out that the one, the only, Kate Mulgrew is going to be reprising her role as Catherine Janeway and star in the upcoming Nickelodeon series Star Trek Prodigy. I know this means a lot to a lot of different people. The Trek Twitterverse is going nuts over the news. I love it. My wife Karen loves it. I know you guys love it. For those out on Twitch, we want to know how you feel about the news. And then guys, Erik, Brittany, how are we feeling about Janeway being back?
I'm way too excited for it.
There it is.
So excited. My boss gave me this today.
Oh, there it is.
And it's signed by her. Anyway, I love working in a comic store. It's so great. Anyway, I love her. Shameless plug.
I love it. I think it's a great thing. She's definitely one of the best captains, if not the best one, and she's such a strong role model for young women growing up, especially at this age, like cartoon age. Like, I know I'm gonna watch cartoons. I meant like younger people, cartoon age. It's such a good example, like role model. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was talking about how Janeway was such a strong female role model for her growing up, and how when she was poor and little, sometimes her TV would just stop, like the video would stop working, and she would just listen to her like a radio play and just be like gripped by how powerful she was and strong as a woman on screen. Is amazing.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's totally awesome. Man, I when I was at boarding school, we didn't have cable or TVs, so I had to have my dad tape the Voyager finale for me. I had to watch it loop. Luckily, like there weren't a lot of ways to get spoilers back then, so it wasn't spoiled. It was great. We have some answers already on Twitch. Mag's here, and she says, so wonderful that Janeway's back and that she wants to be Captain Janeway. And then she also brought up the question, I'm sorry. She said, wow, AOC admired Janeway. I thought she said Admiral Janeway for a second, which is something that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Naira Light also says, bring Garrett Wang back too if Prodigy is set after Voyager returns. Harry Kim needs a promotion.
Hell yeah, we're on the Harry Kim train here.
Harry Kim promotion train.
I'm going to continue that AOC thing. Janeway, actually, Kate Mulgrew, sorry, actually surprised her at one of her not rallies. I don't want to say rallies, but one of her fundraisers, and AOC sort of just went, was shocked by it because she didn't know she was going to be there. So cute, so amazing.
That's amazing.
So we know that the show centers around a group of quote unquote lawless teens, which is interesting in the 24th century, right? That kind of stuff and being bad is supposed to kind of not exist anymore.
That means they use money.
Yeah, right. They use money.
It's Latinum.
Advanced that much. Yeah, Latinum trade.
They come across a derelict Starfleet vessel, and then the question becomes, because Janeway's back, is that ship Voyager? I mean, why would Voyager be lying around, right? But does this take place maybe in the Delta Quadrant during Voyager, maybe in some alternate timeline where Voyager doesn't make it back to Earth? How do you think this new series for kids is going to fit into the Star Trek universe, and what are your theories kind of behind what we're going to get?
Go, Britt. Go.
I'm hoping that it's like a magic school bus, but with Janeway as Miss Frizzle, like just taking kids on this wild ass journey, and she's just like, just like with AOC, you just want to listen to her. You just want her to teach you how to be a good human.
That would be amazing.
Oh
my god, like a science-based one?
Yeah,
like Magic School Bus is science-based.
Because it's going to be
yeah.
Nickelodeon and like the target audience they say they're having for it, like that's what it seems like it'll be like that.
Oh my god.
But I don't really know what they're going to do with it because we do know she's voice acted on cartoons before. I don't see her, like, I don't know if this is going to be like earlier in her career or later in like Janeway's career. I don't know if like Kate Mulgrew would go like, being her younger. Because some people are guesstimating, what if she's one of the kids? What if this is before she's a captain? Yeah. So there's a lot of theories.
I wouldn't like that.
I don't like that either.
She's an amazing voice actress, but I feel like making her go that young would be like taking away from her performance as Janeway.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about your Magic School Bus theory.
I want
that would
it to
be amazing.
That. That's what I want. Personally.
What if it was like it was some sort of like school. You know how the Enterprise D was a giant cruise ship, and then now I can't.
It was a giant preschool. Yeah.
I can't not think about that now that Matt has said that. It's now a cruise ship in my mind forever.
It is though.
But
luxury fleet.
Exactly. What if it was some sort of like school? Like I showed a trailer to you, Brittany, about Breaker High, that high school on a ship.
Yeah.
on a but what if it was a school on a ship that is derelict, and then they had like a hologram Janeway as the teacher? That would be amazing.
That would be pretty freaking
There's so many ways they could do this. Like she could be a hologram. She could be an older version of herself, younger version, or the time period we know her. It's Star Trek. It's like Doctor Who, like wibbly wobbly, timey wimey bullshit. Either way, I'm taking it. I'm taking any bit of Janeway I can get. I'm so mad I'm late to the party of loving Janeway.
You're gonna get there. Where are you now?
I already love her. Up season 5.
Okay.
Probably halfway through.
What?
It's hard. They all meld together. I don't remember episode numbers.
Sure. The last 3 seasons, especially.
PS4, I watched nonstop until like 4 a.m. sometimes.
If it was a Magic School Bus-esque show, what would be the first episode? Like, what would it be about? What would be the lesson?
Coffee.
I was gonna say that. It's like coffee,
right?
Isn't it?
She'd be like step 1.
Mag said that on Twitch too. They'll search for coffee.
Exactly. I don't really know. I feel like it would probably be one of those things. They go planet to planet and they learn about other cultures and stuff like that.
Look, they harvest the beans here, and they roast them over here.
I have the right answer. Listen, Janeway's the foremost expert on the Borg now. It would be like, this is why we don't go near Borg cubes. This is why we stay out of Borg space. Kids, do you know about nanites?
Would this be like an A to Z adventure? Like episode A, we're visiting Andorians. B, staying the fuck away from the Borg. C,
Cardassians.
D,
Delta Quadrant.
I'm already in love with this show.
I honestly,
Can
I'm
we
gonna watch
do our
the
own
shit out of
version?
it.
We should
Let's do
contact.
our own.
We'll contact Titmouse, and then we'll get you to voice Janeway.
There you go. Done.
100%. And Kate Mulgrew will like send me a cease and desist, and I'll be like, "Hey, she signed it though." If you're listening, Kate, I love you.
So one of the things I saw on Twitter today, one of the theories going around that it might not be Voyager and probably isn't Voyager, but it could be the Delta Flyer. Maybe.
That's a small ship for kids.
Delta.
I actually don't think the Delta Flyer is that small. There's been talk about how big the Delta Flyer actually was. I don't know.
It looks
It
small.
would be like, I mean, kids like those radio flyer little wagons, right?
Yeah,
Are they still called that these days?
they are radio flyers. We have a radio flyer,
Okay.
or we had a radio flyer.
I assumed it
Delta
was.
flyer.
I,
Whatever. You just-
I assumed it was on the size of a runabout. I feel like that's
No,
not
I believe the Delta Flyer is bigger than a runabout, but not as big as a. I don't know. We'll have to look into it. Twitch, if you
I guess
know,
we'll
let us
find
know.
out.
How big is the Delta Flyer? Yeah. We already know that Catherine, I keep calling her Janeway instead of by her real name, Kate Mulgrew. Katie has already recorded a few episodes in her recording booth, so production's underway. So maybe we're gonna get this in 2021.
I
Oh,
assume,
easily.
yeah, for sure.
I think animation's the only thing that's still really going, because as much as it takes so long for animation to happen, just time-wise, like at least voice actors are like killing it right now. They can do stuff from home. Half of them are building like home studios. So I'm like, go Kate Mulgrew, go voice away.
Yeah, I have friends who are animators and 3D artists. Wait, is that what their titles? They do CG in movies, and their rigs at home are as powerful as their rigs at work. So
Yeah.
really, they just like, well, now I just moved from my couch instead of
Right.
over there.
She's like, let's go to what for? And she just walks over to like her recording studio.
There's coffee
I was
in
on
the
Star Trek,
nebula.
I'd-
Oh no, it's on my counter.
Oh, it's just my ottoman.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Naira Light on Twitch says they left behind enough shuttles in the Delta Quadrant that I'm sure they're just lying around.
That's fair.
Dude, yeah. Sometimes when I'm watching that show, I'm just like, how many? Is this the same shuttle? Tom Paris is always like getting into shit.
Yeah. Well, can't wait for Star Trek Prodigy. Stoked that it's going to be on Nickelodeon, so people won't have to pay for CBS All Access. That's really exciting. I can't wait to watch it with Cecily and Caleb. I'm hoping that it's a step lower than Lower Decks. See what I did there?
But not in humor.
Yeah. That they'll actually enjoy it instead of maybe watch, wanting to watch an episode here and there. So we shall see. Guys, if that's it on Captain Janeway being back, it is time for our favorite segment of A Strange New Pod, the Strange New Loop. With
Keep forgetting about that.
Yeah, no, me too.
expect it. They'll never expect the Inquisition.
God.
With season 3 of Discovery finally here, I wanted to ask you guys, if you were flung 900 years into the future from the 23rd to 24th, you can pick, what piece of Star Trek tech would you want to see advance and really break through from what was already established? That's for you guys. And since we're down in man tonight, Twitch, give us some answers. We'd love to know what you think as well. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So the thing I love about Star Trek is their use of medicine, going from Bones onto TNG and then forward, like especially Voyager with the holographic doctor. I would love to see where medicine has progressed 900 years in the future, especially with the burn. Like, I wonder how much of it has changed or maybe gone back. So many things could happen. But I love tricorders. There's a post. Was it you who posted the replica tricorders today, or I saw it somewhere on the?
Someone did. It wasn't me, I don't think.
But yeah, I love them. I would buy one of those.
Let's hope with the burn it doesn't go back too far where they're not even able to heal burns. You know, gotta spray on real quick. Thick skin, let's go.
Shut up, Wesley.
I was wondering if one of those was going to show up.
It was
Meld
good.
that skin, girl. Meld that skin.
Melding.
I love it.
Oh, what peanut hamper?
I think I know what I want to talk about.
Okay.
Okay, I want to know what replicators can do 900 years in the future, because they can already replicate pretty much everything. But as we've seen on Lower Decks, different people get different access on replicators to better things. So I want to know, like, 900 years in the future, with just how technology is already going, what else would they be able to make?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With their souffle,
Like the holodeck
never
too,
do that
right?
crushy thing.
Like all
Yeah.
of their energy to matter.
Could they just
Technology.
make time crystals at that point? They're just like, I can
Right.
replicate anything.
Well, I mean, that far in the future, we've already had the Time Bureau version of the Federation. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, interesting for
I
sure.
just know they use the replicator to solve like everything in Voyager.
Yeah.
Because like they got nothing really, and they're just like, we're on rations, and then they'll visit somebody and they'll be like, we can replicate that fuel. We'll give you the like schematics for how to make this fuel, and he's like, oh, this completely changes our entire ecosystem. But I won't do it because I'm an oil trader and I'm gonna feed off of these energy beings in the dark zone. That's right. I watched that episode a little while ago.
Oh, that episode's
like,
rough.
the
And she
pieces?
joins the coalition. They make the coalition of people, and some of
Yeah,
them.
no, they find out they're not on the right side, and you're like, ooh, they're killing these beings.
Well,
That's
you
a good
And
ep-
everybody
Yeah.
in the crew is freaking out because there's no stars. It's just completely black, like they're in the void. Whew.
Oh, could you imagine?
I would not be able to do it.
Nope.
No, I already miss sunlight during the winter, man. Seasonal depression is a bitch.
Hate
So,
when it meets your normal depression.
yeah.
Mm,
One of the things I wanted to talk about, and was one of my ideas before I even saw the little 30-second trailer they showed after Lower Decks. Oh no, not the 30-second trailer after Lower Decks. The first 2 minutes of the opening scene was posted.
oh, I didn't
And
look at it.
you could see, it's not really a big spoiler. Book is flying a ship, right? And everything's like 3-dimensional now. So like the guy he was talking to, his face was like basically in the ship that he was like getting fired upon from. And then all of the like the interface that you use to like touch on like the pads, it's all like interfaces with your actual fingers and stuff. Like it raises up. I've seen that in some other shows before,
Like Iron
too.
Man.
No, but it's not holographic. It looks like it's
Ooh.
it looks like it's almost physical. It's
oh, like it's
really
like.
yeah, exactly, Brittany. I
See,
know
I
what
made
you
the
meant by
sound effect
blue,
and
blue,
everything.
blue. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So that was really cool. Mag said like in Picard, yeah. So that, they've already advanced that, right, to basically being all tactile. This was like a next step further, which was really cool. And I wanted to take that.
It was the next
step
generation
further.
of technology.
Exactly. I'm not even gonna. No. I want to take that a next step further. What if consoles and everything were just gone? From consoles to it all being tactile, like in Picard, to what we're seeing now in that 2-minute opening that we saw, to what if it's just like a chip, an implant? Everybody has an implant, and everything is just from your body. There's no consoles. There's just chairs and space. And I mean, you have computers for certain things that you have to do. But like, if you want to go to warp, you just think warp 7, ship, engage, boom. That would be really cool. The other thing is, speaking of warp, we bring it up on every single episode, the Excelsior coming so close to transwarp drive, and then Voyager exploring, trying to get transwarp drive to work all, through its 7 seasons, and, meddling with slipstream drives. You got to imagine 900 years, they finally figured out either transwarp or slipstream, or shit, dude, maybe we get to 900 years in disco and spore drives are everywhere.
Yeah, they're like,
Oh,
my seal
man.
you later.
Oh yeah, we figured that out.
I was wondering, you were talking about the chips, like using that as part of the interface. If your chip malfunctions, though, would it be like a Wrath of Consoles situation?
Get off my bridge.
I'm sorry, you said console so much, and I was like, con in my head every time you said console.
I hate you
It's like November 12th.
I hate me too sometimes.
so much. We didn't get any submissions on Twitch, but if you have them, put them in now, and we'll read them as we get in a little bit into the show. Any other things that you guys would want to see maybe advanced in 900 years in the future?
Now I'm thinking about your interface thing, and that would be interesting. What if like their holographic technology gets to the point where they just think of something and then it just like sort of appears there and then just goes away, and then
Right.
everything is just a hologram. Oh, an interactive.
Well,
Oh.
isn't that kind of, again, going back to Picard, like, when why can't I remember his name now? The
Cigar guy.
Cigar guy. Rios.
Yes.
Just like when he wants to do it, like he flicks his fingers and the stuff just comes up. Kind of
Yeah,
like
but
Tony.
When I
but
think
it's
of
more
him, I
energy.
think of soccer bomb.
Yeah. Yeah, the song, yeah.
It's soccer bomb.
Thank you, Meg. I guess Rios.
Rios.
Um,
With the rolled R. Rios.
with the,
Remember when I was like,
roll
his
my
name
Rs.
is Rivers. Oh man.
All right, guys. We are here this week to honor all the number ones out there, the Exos, the first officers. That is what this episode is about. And we are going to go in chronological order and start with Erik's favorite series because we have a long road ahead of us tonight.
Yeah.
So,
getting from here to there and there to here. And
yeah, long time.
It's funny that you said XOs because NX01.
I mean, you're right. You're right. So we are starting with Enterprise and the Enterprise NX01, and we know that because of the Vulcan human, kind of partnership / relationship, which was a little testy during then. We know the Vulcans didn't want humans going out quite yet, and Archer and not yet Starfleet, but they're like, we're going, screw you. And the Vulcans are like, well, we're putting a Vulcan first officer on the Enterprise. You don't have a choice.
But it was only for the first episode, right? She chose to join them afterwards.
I think so, yeah. But I mean, still, it was pretty much that first officer was T'Pol, and it could be argued that while T'Pol was Archer's first officer, as well as science officer, Trip, or Commander Tucker, was just as much the first officer of Enterprise as his Vulcan crewmate. In fact, before and during the relationship, because we know that they get down and dirty, they butted heads. Yeah. Spoiler.
20 years. 20 year spoiler.
It's fine.
Matt, going off topic real quick, Matt in his 1927 movie article before I edited put a spoiler warning in there. I'm like, the movie's 100 years old.
Julian, we got a Twitch.
We got a Twitch. Ooh. You want to read it, Brittany?
Oh, I just said ooh. In a good way, like a ooh. Sorry.
Ooh.
Is it NY Raleigh?
Yeah, I'm calling them Naira Light because
Naira Light.
Me.
I like that. Naira Light. Said, interesting to see if the sentient computers are over 900 years into the future without having control taking over.
Because we see that sentient computer in the short trek. So we'll definitely see.
Or the advancements of androids and stuff, right?
Yeah, because they lifted the synth ban.
I love synthetic
Picard. So yeah, like I was saying, they butt heads often about, who's the first officer, who's really his number one. And Erik, you're a resident Enterprise expert.
What?
Yeah, what? Do you agree with this?
Yeah, for sure. Their relationship was really fraught in the beginning, like T'Pol and the humans. I want to say humans on the Enterprise, especially since she was the only real alien other than the doctor, who I can't remember his name right now. Yes, Phlox, on there.
Shame.
So I know, man. They actually had talks, her and the doctor, about how it's weird being the only people that aren't human on the. But I liked that Enterprise, their main bridge crew, they were all pretty much equals. Like, rank didn't really mean anything there, other than Archer being the captain. So everyone gave ideas, and T'Pol, reluctant at first because of the fraught relationship between the Vulcans and the humans. She would occasionally, help them out with things that Vulcans had already discovered or realized. Like, she was the one who helped them increase their shields after they had gone through some battles that had some issues. Without spoiling this 20-year-old show.
Yeah, you're fine. I'm gonna watch it. Ooh,
yeah,
cool.
But it's especially since Vulcans were so very logical at this point, and no one had really spent time with humans as long as she had on her 5-year mission, 5-year mission, and seeing her break down her barriers for humans, and then humans starting to trust her. It was neat to see the relationship of Vulcans grow, like Vulcan and human relationship grow over the course of that series. Having watching the original, like the TOS, the old scientists, you assume that they would be very be like equals at this point, right? But there was really this big brother mentality where they had to make sure that the humans did things properly and at a certain time, but they didn't want them to go too far out because they'd get in trouble because we have feelings and are brash.
You can boldly go, but not too far.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, literally, that's what the Vulcans were like, don't go too far.
And not too bold.
And you realize that the Vulcans are doing like some shifty things, And T'Pol's like, you know what? I didn't know about some of this shifty stuff. I'm siding with the humans, which is actually
You know
really
who
cool.
really does shifty things? Changelings.
Yes, they do.
But they didn't exist, so it doesn't matter.
But yet, changeling didn't exist. Dominion War didn't happen.
Right. It was an inside job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And that's one of the few things I really like about Enterprise is how much we, Enterprise isn't just like a prequel on like how Starfleet was formed, but it was really a giant Vulcan backstory, which is one of the things I did appreciate. And yeah, the Vulcans are not the good people that they're made out to be in like other series. Yeah, they were into some shady shit. I like that Discovery goes a little into that with like the logic extremists and yeah, it's really cool. And and I didn't really mention this, but I mean it's pretty much assumed, and I'm pretty sure Archer mentions it at some point, that he wanted Trip as the first officer, and that he pretty much was. I mean, he's the one who helped build the ship, build the warp core. It's his ship as much as it's Archer's. So I always found that dynamic interesting.
Yeah, it was really her, Trip, and Archer that were the golden three there.
Yeah.
We got some more twitches.
Yeah, hit it. And do you see that? And it's NY Ralite. We figured it out. He explained it,
Nice.
or she. I'm not quite sure yet.
Okay, so I was right because I was gonna say NY Raleigh, but then I was like,
You got it. Yeah.
So okay, former New Yorker living in Raleigh. Okay, that works.
I was gonna say the
NY
smell thing.
Raleigh. Wait, what were you saying?
Oh, NY Raleigh. You could read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
NY Raleigh said T'Pol gets. Is it T'Pol?
T'Pol. Yeah.
Okay.
Or T'Pol. It doesn't.
Yeah.
T'Pol.
T'Pol.
Yep.
T-Pain. My favorite rapper.
I'm on a boat.
T'Pol gets kudos for overcoming the smell issues being around humans. I assume Spock never had the problem growing up around Amanda and Michael.
True.
I like tying that all together. That's awesome.
He was also
And
half human. I wonder if he had part of this smell.
He had half the stank.
Yeah.
He's like, I've been tapped.
He's half stanky.
Yeah.
And then Mag said, "Dumb question. T'Pol is first officer."
No, she was the science officer. So they didn't really have an XO on the. There wasn't a first officer. Even on TNG or not TNG, TOS, they didn't really have a number one other than Una. So yeah, it was interesting.
Who's number 1 and 2 language?
But it was. I mean, but she was in name, right? Like because the Vulcans, quote unquote, said so.
More or less,
Literally.
she was more or less that. Just because they were there to overlook everything.
Oversee.
Yeah.
Spy.
Yeah. So technically she was, but not really.
I'm surprised we didn't do a T'Pol about all this.
We did.
We
And-
did?
Get
I
off
missed it,
my
probably.
bridge.
We did our first officer polls back near the beginning of September. So we've been
never
using
mind.
this episode for quite a while. We'll be getting to that in the mailbag later on. Let's unless Erik, you have anything else on Enterprise.
Go watch it.
Go, yeah.
I'm gonna.
Yeah. So, moving on to Star Trek Discovery, which just had its season premiere. If you're listening in podcast form, which is so exciting, go listen to our season premiere bonus pod right now, please. So, Discovery is obviously very complicated, right? That series starts with Burnham as first officer of the USS Shenzhou. And we all know kind of how that turned out with a little bit of mutiny. And then
This is light down.
like
A light one.
Just
Little
a hint of
sprinkle.
mutiny in the morning with your
maybe
coffee.
starts a tiny little war. No big, no
God.
big. So Saru was serving on board that ship. And Erik, it's actually interesting you mentioned how they didn't really have that format of like there was no real XO aboard the Enterprise, because even though Burnham was the quote unquote first officer on the Shenzhou, I got that feeling that Saru and Michael were equals to Giorgio as well.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So obviously things get a little bit complicated. Saru becomes first officer to both Mirror Lorca. We know how that turned out too. A lot of bad things happened to this crew before things turned out all right.
It's true.
And then finally Captain Pike. And then Michael then seems to kind of become a secondary first officer, like I was talking about with Giorgio, to Captain Pike as well. That feeling that there's kind of two bugs in his ear almost, but in a better way. And then what we've seen in the upcoming trailers for the season, listening live because we haven't seen the first episode yet, she'll seemingly get that role officially under a Captain Saru. So what do we think about how this situation has been handled throughout the first 2 seasons and going into season 3 of Discovery?
I'm thinking about it because I wonder how long before Burnham joins the crew, and if someone's gonna end up taking that third position of the, how we're talking about the Trinity of leadership. I wonder
The
if
Holy Trinity.
yeah,
The Triforce.
the Triforce of Starfleet. I wonder if there's gonna be another person who steps up, if like Tilly or someone's gonna.
Oh, I hope it's Tilly.
I hope it's Tilly,
because that would be
Young
amazing.
Trappin' Ensign.
Or
She got a hint of murder Tilly in her.
I wouldn't even mind any of the other officers on the bridge because we don't really know them, but it would be nice to shine a light on them. But
Like Owo? I
yeah,
always want to call her
Owo.
Uwu, like the
Owo.
little like but I'm like, no, it's Owo.
yeah, like any of those characters because they don't really get the spotlight. But I'm looking forward to her at least officially taking that spot of first officer. If that happens, I assume it's going to happen. I think we all
Yeah,
sort
it
of
looks
assume
like
that.
I zoomed in on that second preview. She's definitely got 3 pips on there
Yeah.
now. And the
It better
gold.
happen. She's earned
Yeah.
it by
Yeah.
now. She's
So.
burned it by
Burned it.
I like that. Sorry, Brittany, real quick. I'll let you go in a second. Doug Jones said, and, you can touch on this if you want, in that New York Comic Con panel that they did a couple of days ago, that the question of who's captain of Discovery doesn't get figured out in the first episode.
I'm glad. I'm good.
Yeah, it's this kind of mutual respect that Michael and Saru have for each other, and where both of them are equally deserving and capable of getting that role, and they both want it for each other. So it's going to be interesting kind of exploring that as well.
The true discovery is the friends you make along the way. We're going to discover who is the captain. Anyway,
Yeah.
you'll Saru the day you take it from his cold, dead alien hands.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else that you wanted to add on that?
Oh, I had actual thoughts. Sometimes my puns just take over, and then I forget to actually contribute. Like, there's sometimes I go back and I watch her videos, and I was like, wow, I had like a whole paragraph planned, and I just said like one pun and lost my mind. I absolutely love Saru, and I love Michael Burnham, and I feel like it's definitely going to be, Captain Saru, and then she'll be his not second, first officer, but second right-hand man.
Yeah.
George Washington, here comes the general.
Do I have to insert Hamilton into it?
Here comes the general.
Rise up.
Okay. Jesus. Eliza. Moving on. Anyway, I think I can't wait for that dynamic to happen because you see so much like mutual respect happen between them over the course of season 1 and 2, especially season 2. They go through a lot together. Especially when Saru thinks he's going to die and everything. So I think it's going to be great. I hope it's handled in a really awesome way. That being said, it's Discovery, so it gets really intense if it's going to be anything like last season. So I'm prepared to cry a bit.
Yeah. Erik, do you want to hit up some of these Twitch comments?
Yeah. How far back? Let me see.
I think we'll start with let's see.
Let's go with NY. Because I feel like that's the big one.
Yeah.
I assume Mira Lorca picked Saru in part to be first officer because he assumed he wouldn't oppose him. That's fair, especially with early Saru. Saru proved him wrong. Saru is my favorite Disco character. Ooh, he's a good character.
He's a
I love
damn
Saru.
good character.
We also love him as an actor. So
It is interesting though, right? Because like of their, of Kelpians before, Saru went and had a revolution on his planet.
Rise up!
Kelpians, rise up.
That Lorca probably was like, his fear is going to get in the way. I'm fine. No one's ever going to find me out. That's a really good point. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
He used to cry for Helpian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now he's a Kelpian.
Magmag also wrote that it might be a cool thing if they deconstruct the entire rank system. Who knows how rank works 900 years in the Federation,
Didn't we see someone getting pips in the trailer though?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. So we'll see. Hey, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
They got teleported that far in the future, but they don't know. It's like 2 days for them. So they're just like pips away.
Pips. Pips?
Yes, you're getting this. Harry Kim, I'm sorry you didn't.
No.
They don't know him yet.
Mag has a question before we move on to the original series, those old scientists. How do you think Book will fit in to Discovery and their crew? Do you think he joins the crew? Do you think he's just kind of like a liaison or just a dude hanging with him?
I hope he joins the crew.
I think he'll join.
Maybe his ship attaches on the bottom of Disco.
Like Firefly?
Yes, exactly like Firefly.
Like he's the liaison.
Like Colonial One? Oh, the Colonial One goes
yeah.
in a bay in
Yeah.
Battlestar. Yeah.
Oh
Everyone.
man,
But
Battlestar.
we know that Book will be a Bay, so.
Yeah. Hey. I have a theory about Book. He ended up being a bad guy in the Supergirl season he was in, playing good guy, going bad guy. I wonder if
I hope not.
I hope not either. I hope they don't do the same thing with him.
Well,
But
you know what they say, Julian?
He was a good bad guy.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Mm.
Also, she
No,
Shut
no,
up,
just
Wesley.
stop.
she mentions
Shut up,
no,
Wesley.
I'm reading Twitch, motherfucker. I was trying to say Mag also
Shut
said
up, Wesley.
And she broke it.
We killed her.
or Grudge.
Yeah, we all know who the real captain is. It's great.
Yeah, Grudge is the captain.
For a cat
I,
that
for
big
one,
to sit in
I'm
the
the
chair,
captain now.
right?
I'm,
that cat's
I'm
not gonna
normally
move.
a fan, but I sure as heck want to hold a grudge.
You're lucky
Now,
this
now I'll mute myself.
you're lucky this isn't around the horn.
You're lucky we only have 3 people.
Yeah, right.
He needs my
That's
voice.
basically it. Let's move on to the original series. We had obviously the first pilot of Star Trek with Captain Pike and number 1 and Una, and obviously we get more of that in Disco season 2. One thing about the old NCC 1701 first officers, or people on Trek Twitter like to call the old Enterprise the Connies, the Constitution class. I like their little nickname.
The Connies.
The Connies, because they're Constitution classes. Yeah, I dig it. I like it.
Yeah.
Despite being 2 entirely different people, we're talking about Spock and number 1. Each one was ridiculously loyal, like fiercely loyal to their captain. Number 1 for Pike and Spock for Kirk, with each of them considering their captain dear friends as well as being their commanding officers.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
think it's kind of hard to like. I mean, they had to be so loyal because like that's like the roots of the show, and you're like, this is what a number 1 is. This is how Star Trek works, and I'm excited to see, like, especially in the newer show, Strange New Worlds, like how number 1 will be in that, because as much as I think that she's going to be extremely loyal to Pike, as we've seen already, she also has that like edge to her. Like she's definitely going to be like this badass woman, and I can't wait to see more of her in that. But I do love that they always have such strong friendships with their captains, and I think that built a base for future number 1s throughout like all the shows. No matter how many times they butt heads, sometimes like Nerys and Cisco, or whatever happens, there's always that like loving friendship that develops if it doesn't already happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I wonder that, especially with the Strange New Worlds coming out, I wonder if the trio there, the Spock, Una, and Pike, how the dynamic is going to be, because we haven't really seen them all together so far. And I know we were talking about how Pike was sort of this father figure to Spock, sort of mentor-ish. I wonder if Una's going to end up being I don't want to say the mother character, but like
maybe the not the evil stepmom, but the not so nice aunt, or
no. So
Why, Mom?
I think
Why,
of
Aunt?
when I think of Kirk and Spock, I think of they're best friends, but they're polar opposites, right? Spock is not cold, but he's logical, and Kirk is like cowboy. But
That's exactly it.
pew pew. Oh my God. But Pike has is calculated, but also cowboy-y. So I wonder if they're gonna, because they probably want some of that dynamic in Strange New Worlds.
You think number 1's gonna wrangle him in?
But I wonder if number 1's gonna be more logical, and then we get that dynamic, and then Spock sort of gets a split of that or something like that.
right? See, I'm right there with you, man, because I think that Spock, because he's still young in the series, He's still kind of new to Starfleet. He's going to be awkward. He's not awkward with Kirk. Like he knows his position. He's a first officer. You know, he's building this relationship that'll end up, you know, making them become best friends. But I think Spock is going to be awkward in Strange New Worlds, and I'm really excited to see that side of him because we get a little bit of that in Discovery, and I really like that dynamic. As far as Una number one, I mean, listen, these are two people who are, you know, Spock not yet number ones. Like how much of how Spock takes to being first officer / science officer on the Enterprise under Kirk did he get from number one?
Like we already saw it from the short track. Like she's like, "Calm down, dude. You're a little too excited for a Vulcan."
You heard it here first, guys. Hashtag Spockward. It's gonna happen.
I like it.
Yeah.
Anything else on number one and Spock? Do we want to touch on that relationship? Because I feel like the Spock-Kirk relationship is maybe the most unique out of all these ones that we're going to talk about because
they were brothers, right?
Yeah,
pretty
much.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're gonna die for you're willing to die for your captain. We've seen that so many times back and forth between Kirk and Spock. Like they would die for each other. They'd do anything for each other. Probably even break all of Starfleet's laws.
I mean, Spock would never say it because he's a Vulcan, and Kirk would never say it because he's a cowboy. But like, they love each other.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
There is love there.
I feel like they would.
You think so?
I think they're family. I think they would.
They are definitely no doubt that they are family.
Some of the fandom thinks they love each other a little more than that. We're
Yes,
talking Brokeback Mountain Cowboys.
Have you guys seen that Nine Inch Nails music video to "I Want to Fuck You Like an Animal"? And
you don't know the song?
No, but I'm just wondering where this goes.
It is a Kirk and Spock ship video of
yes,
a cut of making all of their scenes from the original series look homoerotic, and it's awesome.
They don't even have to try and edit
They
it.
don't have to.
Anytime I watch the original series, I'm just like, how are they not in love?
I remember.
How in the 60s did you think this was heterosexual? How did this pass any of the Red Scare and the homosexual scare?
Yeah.
It's an awesome video.
Yeah.
It is so good.
I remember seeing that before
Google it
YouTube, right? That's how old that video is.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. Una loves burgers.
Yes, Una does love burgers.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, that's true.
I ate a burger today.
She doesn't just love burgers. She loves hot sauce because you see Pike eye down the hot sauce. Like, you're really going to eat that with that? And she's like, yeah.
Damn straight.
Damn straight, dude. Yeah, I can't wait for more number one. Can't wait because I love Rebecca Romijn. She's awesome.
Can't wait for more hot sauce.
Does she put romaine on her burger?
She has to, right?
I always make a lettuce joke every time we talk about her. I love her, but her name is so punnable. I can't resist.
Let's move over to probably the most dynamic, right? Because he's
Resistance is
probably
my
had the
child.
most screen time out of all these first officers in Mr. William T. Riker. 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to do that every time I mention him now. I'm really sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
I'm really not sorry. Riker probably goes down as the biggest overachiever out of the first officers we've talked about and will talk about. This is a man who was on the Starfleet fast track to captain, right? This was during a time in Starfleet where they wanted to promote people quickly and get them in captain's chairs. And he was on that fast track. But because he was on the Enterprise, he turned down multiple commands. Before even accepting his first officer position on the Enterprise, he turned down command of the USS Drake. So this is a dude who was young, like a lieutenant commander who gets promoted to commander for the Enterprise, who was offered a captain's chair. So that's how much they wanted him in there. Later, he's offered the USS Ares, which he turned down basically in spite of his dad because his dad treated his family like shit, had an affair with Dr. Pulaski. So there's that. And Will was like, I'm not accepting this command because fuck you, Dad. So there's that. And then this is the big one. The biggest command that he turned down was Admiral Hanson's flagship Excelsior class, the USS Melbourne, which had he taken that command, he would have died at the Battle of Wolf 359. So something to think about there. But still, he was offered the flagship of the fleet and turned it down. I mean, the Enterprise is like the crown jewel flagship, but that was the Admiral. I think Hanson was the CNC, so that was his,
Baby.
His baby. So I said already, that kind of ended up being a weird situation, right? Had Picard not been assimilated, and Riker not promoted to Captain Enterprise, I'm guessing he probably would have taken that command, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but he didn't. And then finally assuming, and I think, and let me know if you guys disagree or agree, I think correctly, he was given the choice of another ship after Picard was deborgified, right? And because he was a captain. I used your term, Brittany. I know you
I
just
love
got excited. I
deborgified.
saw your eyes.
I was like, Deborg.
He was probably like given, hey, do you want to spearhead, a ship so we can like show the galaxy that things are okay, the Borg didn't like screw us all up. But no, he took a demotion and remained first officer of the Enterprise, hoping that one day he would sit in that chair. What do we think of Will Riker overall after kind of getting that quick history lesson?
I don't know if he stayed on the Enterprise in hopes to be captain of it.
He does though, because remember in Generations, he says to Picard,
he does at that point.
I thought that I'd always thought I'd get a shot at that chair.
But I feel like him turning down all of this stuff was him wanting to learn from Picard. Like there's if on Netflix in Canada, if you hover over a show, they show like a little trailer. I don't know if they have that in the States, or they show a clip of a show.
Yeah.
For Enterprise, for TNG, they have this clip where Riker goes up like toe to toe with Picard, where he stands up to him, and I always assumed that Riker was there to learn, but also to be that like firm hand, and like the amount that he grew over the 7 seasons was amazing. Just he was already such a I don't want to say he was accomplished and he knew what he wanted, but he learned so much from Picard, vice versa, both of them really. And I don't know, did he? Yeah, I know he did want to take that chair, but I feel like that would have been eventually.
He doesn't want command of the Enterprise, right?
Yeah, he doesn't want to take it from Picard. Like if Picard wanted to become an admiral, he would gladly take it, but he doesn't want to leave Picard. Yeah. At that point.
Real quick, Brittany, before you go, Mag goes, Jellicoe was not impressed with Will. It confined him to quarters, actually. So, Brittany, I love your pun there.
Yeah, I responded in like 2 seconds, so she knows I'm real.
That's why I turned and laughed. And I was like,
she also brought up Best of Both Worlds and asked, is Shelby number 1 to Jellicoe? No, both. That was Admiral Hansen in Best of Both Worlds, and she was number 1 to Admiral Hansen. And was basically, Hansen was like, I want Shelby to be your new number 1, Picard, and I want Riker to take my ship. So, yeah.
Would that have made Shelby pretty hands-on for Hansen?
Get off my bridge.
You went for a pun. I was trying to think of a mbop type of.
Eric, do you want to read this one from NY?
Oh yeah,
about Frakes.
Where is that? Oh, Jonathan Frakes hated the way the writers made Riker look bad repeatedly, turning down the promotions to captain. Ooh, that's interesting.
Listen, I don't think it made him look bad.
No.
I think it was an interesting kind of psychological exploration of the character.
Yeah, I don't think it made him.
Maybe also, sorry.
I feel like there's a strength of character if you're like, I want to be here to learn. I don't want to just have to lead. Right? There's something in you if you turn down something that big.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like he thought he wasn't the right person for the job, you know?
Yeah.
It's just that his will was elsewhere.
Do you have anything else you'd like to touch on about Will Riker?
No, that was really my fault. I just made it punny. I absolutely love Riker, and you're right. He grows so much over the 7 seasons, and as much as you can't have Spock without Kirk, I think also you can't really have Riker without Picard. Like the way they feed off each other and feed into each other and learn and grow.
Yeah.
It's like almost like a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
So I feel the same way.
It's like Mariner and Boimler.
Yeah. Fuck you, Boimler.
I was thinking about it, like Riker turning down isn't like Mariner turning down stuff, right? She doesn't want to. Yeah, it's
no,
totally
and Mag brings up a good point, and it's a point that Matt made on our season finale review bonus pod about the fact that she thinks that Riker just wanted to stay with the family of the Enterprise, and how we might get that with Boimler being on the Titan.
Ooh.
And how he might, miss his family, and Riker's going to have that talk like, maybe this isn't the right time for you to be on the ship. That time will come, but I think you miss your friends and you should go back. So I think that's a really good point there. Anything else on Mr. William T. Riker, captain now of the USS Titan?
Oh, God. I can't wait to see more of him.
I love that for him.
Yes.
Yes. Can't wait.
I just want to see more of the Titan. Just more.
Yeah.
And more of
Lord
him.
X, bring it now.
Isn't it funny, real quick? I know this is getting a little off subject. The fact that we have basically his exact self, from a few years before in Thomas Riker because of the transporter malfunction, and they end up being two completely different people, right? Like Tom Riker ends up joining the Maquis. So it's interesting how even though they're the same exact person, how who's to say that Will doesn't have the same thoughts about the Federation at the point? Because if you remember when Ro defects and goes to the Maquis, Will kind of lets her go.
Yeah.
So
I also feel like Tom was sort of placed under the shadow of Will, right?
Yeah.
And that added a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Let-
And once again, I think it's all about making the right choice, and
just
he
go
will
away.
he will
Go
always be the same person, but go down different paths. So, but we do have some more Twitchies. I don't know if that's what you call Twitch comments.
I like it. Mag said is Troy number 1 to Riker on the Titan. I think she is. I think he has two. He has Troy on one end because she's a commander, and the alien whose race I forget the name of.
I think she's still the counselor, though. I don't know if she's like she is on the Enterprise.
She's number 1 somewhere.
But she does have that full commander rank because she goes
In
to
bed.
training, and so who knows? I think she's counselor and maybe second or first officer. Who knows? We'll find out next season.
And
on,
pregnant.
Yeah, and for getting pregnant in Little Riza.
I mean,
Brittany.
I was gonna say Riker's gonna have a little rise.
I was gonna say that too.
Before Brittany makes any more Riker puns,
Get me out of here. Boy me up.
one of the two first officers that we're going to talk about that aren't Starfleet, Brittany, you're our kind of DS9 expert on the show. I thought I'd let you talk about the no-filtered Bajoran badass first here, who is Major and then later Colonel Kira Nerys. So awesome and unique.
I absolutely love Kira. I don't really know anybody, or at least I haven't talked to anybody who's watched DS9 and hasn't grown to love her if they didn't already like her in the first season. I know that initially she butts heads with Sisko a little bit, but that's because she's like a liaison for the Bajorans, and he's someone who's reluctantly now this like Bajoran figurehead kind of, because the prophets are like, oh, he's the chosen one, and he's just like, I'm Starfleet, I swear. But through that like butting of heads, like she really starts to help Sisko not only learn about, her culture and her people and his place in their whole sort of like theology and religion, but also keeps him in check in general, like when he's making certain important decisions, because there's so much that happens in Deep Space Nine. Like even the first 2 seasons, you're like, yeah, I get it, they're on a space station, like this horrible thing happened recently, but like, yeah, we'll just keep the Cardassians in check, everything's cool. Just goofy episodes, and then it gets like really intense, and especially with Kira having grown up, as a child, she was like, what was it, like, I want to say like 3 or 5 years old when her mom became like one of the pleasure women to like the Cardassians, and like she didn't even understand that. Oh, it's just such a rough childhood, and she grows up to join like the Bajoran resistance, and then she becomes what they Cardassians consider a terrorist. She blows up like Cardassians and their families to try and fight for Bajor's like freedom. So her rise, before you really see who she even is in the first episode, you learn about all these other things throughout the series, what brings her to DS9. And it's incredible the journey she has. You learn so much about Bajor and Bajorans and her as a character through what she's been through. And that it doesn't even stop there. Right after that conflict, like now that you're up to speed at some point in the show with her past, then you have to deal with, they're still dealing with Cardassians coming to the ship. I remember one of my favorite episodes with her is when she recognizes a Cardassian on the ship as being the guy who was in charge of the concentration camp.
That was a deep episode.
That is like, talk about Deep Space Nine. That is deep space. Like that hits me in the heart every time, because he's insistent that he was just a file clerk, and she's like so adamant. She's just like, you have to pay for your crimes. You did all these horrible things, and then he kind of vibe checks her, saying like, well, you blew us up. You were a terrorist, and then it turns out, spoiler for any of you that might have not known this, but like he actually was the file clerk, but he like got his face redone cosmetically to look like the guy who ran the prison camp because that guy died of natural causes and never got put on trial for his crimes. So this poor file clerk dude feels so guilty about having been any part of the concentration camp that he wants to be like tried and killed or sentenced in this guy's place because he can't deal with what happened. And that completely changes her also because she's so like Cardassian's like on the spot. She's just like, you're fucking evil. I'm going to kill you. And he ends up dying in that episode. It's like a whole thing. But wow, I'm sorry. I just went into a deep dive there.
No, it's good.
But just that episode alone reveals so much about her, and she grows as a character because she's like, as much as like she respects him in the fact that she knows I also want to bring these people to justice, and the fact that you were willing to go that far to make sure these crimes were seen by other people and you are a Cardassian, it changed her viewpoint. So she wasn't immediately attack upon sight. She had to be more strategic about it. And then of course you have like the Dominion War, and how many times did she save Deep Space Nine? Over 9 times.
Literally liberated DS9.
Over 9,000. Like, she's liberated so much.
One of my favorite episodes with Kira is when it's basically when the Cardassians, realize the Dominion are bad and they're fighting back against the Dominion, and they're with Damar, and Damar's like, listen, you can help train these Cardassians, but they're never going to listen or respect you if you're wearing that Bajoran militia uniform. It went into the whole thing going back, to Cardassian rule over Bajorans, and she had to basically take a field promotion and be Starfleet for a couple of episodes, which I thought was really unique and really cool. And not just the Cardassians responding to that, but how Kira responded to that as well. I always really liked that.
Yeah.
And her dealing with Cardassians later on, especially like during the Dominion War and everything, she also, like, it's hard. Her whole backstory, like, she has this whole past with dealing with Cardassian oppression, and then also having to interact with them and work with them on occasions, like, really showed her growth. And the fact that some people even were like, borderline, like, you're kind of being like a conspirator. And she's like, don't you ever call me that. Like, I would never be like that. She even thought her own mom was one.
Yeah,
like her mom really had a choice to be a pleasure woman. Like, she understands that later on, but for a long time in her life, like, ooh, that show is such a deep cut. Like, that's some real war shit. I can't. Fantastic number one.
Yeah. What I love about her is that she was a character so unique because she was technically a sort of a child soldier, right? She was pretty young when she was fighting.
Oh yeah.
But as an adult, she was a officer who was dealing with PTSD, which is something we don't really see on sci-fi shows or any shows really at that time. So her dealing with that was, again, when we talked about Janeway being such a strong character, this is another really strong role model, having gone through all of these trials and tribulations and to still move forward, especially while, like you were saying, working with the Cardassians who had caused this trauma in her life. Like, it's incredible. The women on DS9 were so important to sci-fi, I feel like.
They were groundbreaking for their time.
Yeah.
They were, and they really set the stones for, what Ron, because, Ron Moore laid all that groundwork, and then, that led way to what he could do with all the amazing women on Battlestar,
Yeah. And the deep themes in that one, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Involving women and their bodies.
And NY says, Kira's a great character. I'm not sure how they'd be able to write in a character who was, depending on your perspective, either a terrorist or a freedom fighter, especially post 9/11. Mag agreed. Yeah, I mean, she was a great character, and I know
that line, man.
And watching that DS9 documentary, there was definitely some pushback on how this character was going to, fare being on television at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
are we all done with Kira?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say Kira knows best, and I say that because Nerys means nose.
Fair.
What were you gonna say?
And also, Bajorans always have that like nose ridge or like right here.
Yeah.
So I always think it's really funny because I'm just like her I guess first name, because Kira's like family name, right?
Yeah.
His nose. I don't know. It's something like that. I thought everybody she's related to was like Kira this, Kira that.
I can't remember.
Was I wrong?
Yeah. I don't know.
What were you
I'm
gonna say?
watching Voyager, so my brain's gone.
I was gonna say what Mag said. She said, "How do we go from Kira to Chakotay?"
Right. uh,
And Mira and NY Raleigh said Intendant Kira in the Mirrorverse is an interesting character as well.
Ooh,
That's,
yes.
Yeah.
that's a whole nother level too. Like, whew,
Yeah.
good luck if you're watching that show.
Listen, Chakotay is, I don't want to say as complex a character as Kira, because I think Kira is definitely more complex. But listen, you know, he's the second first officer that we're talking here to not be technically Starfleet. He used to be Starfleet and then joined the Maquis. He was part of the Maquis that Janeway was sent to go arrest. And then Chakotay ends up being thrust into the position of Voyager's first officer over Tuvok, right? Over Tuvok. What?
Sorry, you said thrust, and Erik and I were both like, Janeway.
I didn't even get to that part yet, guys. God. Oh my God.
So hard. Everybody's so hot for Chakotay, apparently.
Oh, so much.
Lesbian, I don't see it, but like, teach their own.
Yeah, so he becomes Voyager's first officer over Tuvok when Janeway's first officer is killed during the caretaker incident, and the ship is trapped in the Delta Quadrant. Despite being Maquis, Chakotay
To Coachella.
Chakotay goes to Coachella. Chakotay, much like number one and Spock, was fiercely loyal to Janeway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, who's got chips? Who's doing that?
No one?
No one? Stop it.
Oh, man.
I thought I muted myself, damn it.
He's like, Chip Cote. He's a snack.
And then finally, because you guys brought up thrust, even though it was never acted upon, there's definitely an underlying mutual sexual tension between the two, which was a first between a Star Trek first officer and captain.
Was it though?
Wasn't it acted on in one episode that doesn't count?
Are you talking about the one where they were stranded on that planet?
Yeah.
I mean,
that almost. I like how they show in the show it almost happened, but I was like, fam, you were down there for like 2 months together. It happened.
And
but they also like, you know, he gives her like the little pocket watch in, you know, the shit that gets reversed anyway.
NY wrote, Chakotay was let down by inconsistent writing. Robert Beltran was understandably upset and vocal in his complaints. Yeah, it's true. And he was also very vocal in general, which I wonder if the last 3 seasons, they were just like, nope, we're going to just write you a little. Nah.
Yeah, I feel like as much as I love Voyager, I feel like they did that to a lot of their like non-white cast.
Harry.
Because like Harry Kim, I'm just like, there is no way if this was made now that you would do him so dirty.
Do you know what I respect about Robert Beltran though? Despite the way they wrote his character, he killed it. Like he did such a good job with that character. I think that he made scenes that maybe weren't written so well just work. You know, and everything having to do with the Maquis and the Maquis crew and him kind of having to be the liaison between them. I always thought that very interesting. And even though he was fiercely loyal to Janeway didn't always reciprocate that. You know, like Janeway was still like, she eventually trusted him 100%, but it took a long time to get there. If he, you know, didn't obey an order, she'd be like, you're Maquis now again, aren't you?
Yeah. At first, like obviously he was the Maquis to everything. But at first Janeway was like, you need to go Chakotay way. And then later on, she's like, I need a Chakotay lay. So like, she spanned the spectrum there.
All hands to battle stations.
That's what she says in bed. Anyway,
I was gonna say this.
Mag agrees with you also that Chakotay was crucial in uniting Starfleet and Maquis crew. Yes, they let down his character, but he was an unusual character in that he was calm, patient, and nurturing.
Yes,
and I agree. That was
exactly,
very important for a male character as well.
Exactly what I loved about him.
Were you guys weirded out by his relationship with 7 of 9?
Brittany's not there yet.
I'm not there yet, but I'm not surprised.
You know about her. Yeah,
I know about it already because don't they? Do they show it in Year Hell or?
No, but
I thought something. I've probably seen future because I've seen random Voyager episodes also.
Anyway,
so I think I already know about it.
It's stupid.
Yeah, I thought
that's all you need. That's all you need to know is that it's stupid and
7-9 is gay. That's all I accept.
Yeah. I hated
the
it.
one thing Picard did for me. I was just like, yeah.
Anything else on Chakotay before we Chakotay away?
I like that he stuck to his beliefs. Like even in Year of Hell, like when he was on the what's his name's ship, and he was like, you know what,
Yeah.
you have some good points there.
Red Foreman ship.
Yeah, Red Foreman.
The USS Dumbass.
We will stick a boot up his ass.
Pronounced Duma.
But yeah, I thought that was really either Starfleet or McKee. He always stuck to what he thought was right, and I appreciate that as a character on Star Trek.
Yeah,
where sometimes people like take the rules to an excess, and they might not believe in something, but the Prime Directive says this, we gotta do that.
Our Twitchies are getting hot. It's getting toasty in there.
You want me to take this one? You're eyeing me. I cringe. NY says, I cringe at the horribly inaccurate way the show portrayed Native American culture with Chakotay. It's something Robbie McNeil repeatedly mentions Delta Flyers pod, which I have to listen to still. That's on my list.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean,
it wasn't just Voyager, right? Even TNG, they had horrible representation of. I feel like if there wasn't a writer in the room who knew this culture that they're writing about, it was just like stereotypes. There you go.
Yeah.
You can argue that with every Disney movie that comes out. You're
That's
just
true.
like, Mulan. Everybody loves the animated movie. Is it really accurate?
yeah, true.
No, it's not.
And it's horrible.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway, Janeway was lucky to have him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Way to go, Mag.
I love that they would hold hands every now and then. It was so cute. Like, oh, I love that.
It's only when they're both reaching for the controls at the same time.
Yeah, right.
Don't get it twisted.
We saved the newest first officer to join the Star Trek world for last, and that is Mr. Jerry O'Connell himself, Jack Ransom on the Cerritos. Jack is this says sucker, but it was meant to say he kind of is a sucker, but a suck up ass kissing womanizer, kind of like Will, who is the XO of one of the least important ships in Starfleet. Still, he gets shit done, which says something. What do we think about his future moving forward in Lower Deck Season 2? And if he was to get a command, would it be an important one?
I feel like as long as he keeps his fists on stun and his and his kicks on kill, he'll be fine.
Yeah. He'll end up getting command somewhere. Like, he is a surprisingly good number one, like, as for all his quirks and like crazy, ridiculous, weird shit he does. Like, you can tell even when Troy vibe checks him and it's just like, yeah, all this is covering. Yeah, she's like, you're really insecure and all this other stuff. And he's like, ooh, could you make that work for me? I'm like, that's definitely compensating.
Just going back real quick, sorry, because I think this is important. NY wrote, going back to talking about bad representation real quick. NY wrote, Garrett Wang says Raiders assumed Kim was Chinese all 7 years.
Yeah, Kim is not a Chinese last name.
No, it's
First
not.
of all,
Mhm.
Starfleet.
Yeah, come on. Oh, my God. Anyway, sorry, continue. Jack Ransom. Jack.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So, yeah, we get it. Ransom, he's handsome. All that shit. But I think inside, he's got a heart of gold. He just doesn't really want to show it outside of his, many muscles. He tries to, like, compensate.
Yeah, Mag, pump those weights.
Exactly. Like I'm thinking! Overall, like, I feel like I'm not really sure what character I'd want to see, like, maybe get command before him or not. Like, I'm pro Mariner. I'm Mariner for life. Mariner OG. But Ransom, he holds his own. He has his position for a reason, as much as he may be a suck-up. I feel like we'll probably see in the show at some point, whether it's the end of the entire series or, somewhere towards later seasons, that he will get command of his own.
There's a reason why Boimler has a frame picture of him on the USS Titan, right?
Right?
Yes.
So he is a good officer. He might be a little bit of a D-bag at times, but he's a good officer.
Well-meaning D-bag.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And why wrote, I'll take Ransom and his double-fisted punches any day in a fight.
It's true.
Yes, 100%.
And he does know stuff too. Like, he recognized when Mariner was quoting Tempest, and that's when I was like, you know what? I really do love Ransom. I already liked him earlier on when he's like, "You ejected all the children out of the ship? That's literally never happened before in thousands."
Do it again with more children.
Do it again with more children. Like, I love Jerry. He's
awesome.
Such a great job as Ransom. I don't think I would have liked somebody else being that character.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that about does it for our first officers. I think we covered every single show in just over an hour. I'm impressed. I thought we would do that longer, but we have more to go because it is time for a very jam-packed mailbag.
Hailing frequencies are open.
So in the interest of time, I have these assigned this week. Nice, Ahura, Eric there. Love it. Did
I
you
copy
show
Brittany.
Your other autograph, Brittany?
Oh my god. This is the perfect episode to show these. Okay. I'm a really good worker at my comic book store. So anyway, I also got it's really hard because she has a green
I can see Ahura though.
Yeah.
It's Nichelle Nichols. She signed it.
That's so
I don't
awesome.
think you can see it. But if she didn't, she has like the green
neck
layout.
Yeah,
it literally looks like
Hmm.
it's like the ship schematic, so you can't see the background because it's green. But
Yeah.
that's her, and I love her.
So cool.
It's a
So
good day.
as we mentioned near the top of the show, back in early September, we were kind of teasing that we were going to be doing this episode with a Twitter poll and the question of who is your favorite number one. In our first poll, we actually couldn't find a winner. So we did a second one because in the first one, Riker and Spock actually tied. And I feel a little bit bad because I think I made it end up in a tie because I voted from my personal account. I was doing it. But so we had to do another one, and then Spock won huge. He won
That's
real big.
fair.
Yeah.
I hate that you just said he won huge. Like
I
Huge.
from them.
Yeah.
It's okay. Another dirty election.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. We feel for
you
you
went
as
for the-
Canadians.
Dude, we feel for ourselves here. God damn it.
Having said that, we got some great submissions there on Twitter for people that because you could only put a certain amount of people in a poll, right? So we had people like Chakotay and Kira. So we got great answers on Twitter and on Reddit from others as well. So we're gonna go and Twitter first. And Brittany, you are number one to read our mailbag.
Number one. It's good that we
Hey,
did
Meg.
like a whole hour for that because 1 hour for number one discussion.
Indeed.
Okay, our first one up. Cam Steven. Kira all the way. I love the others, but she has such a decent growth, and hell, she helped liberate DS9 how many times? I said the same thing. So
You
don't say-
did. You did indeed. I said this already, but we ended up getting a lot of Kira love on Twitter. So many good Kira gifs. It was fun to watch people respond. It was great.
We Kara for Kira.
Yeah, and Locutus of Borg definitely called us out on missing one of the number ones. He posted a picture of Picard's pup number one
Yeah,
and said,
you're right.
"He's a good boy. He is a good
He is a
puppers.
good
He's a good
boy."
puppers.
Boy.
I love him."
He's
Oh,
a
good.
boy.
DJ Valentine said Chico Bay, Chico O'Hay, Chico Hot A. And underneath was a reply from Ensign Great Pumpkin, Chico, yeah.
I think it's Chico Yay.
Okay, well, yeah,
That works too.
'Cause then
it
That would be
rhymes.
Like, when the what's the thing? The fruit guy, the fucking fruit punch dude. What is his name?
Wait,
I-
from
You know the one
what?
that breaks through the door and goes, "Oh yeah."
Oh, the Kool-Aid guy?
Kool-Aid man.
The fruit
You can
punch
tell,
guy.
dude. Sometimes
fruit
the
punch
languages in
guy.
my brain take over, and I like forget English.
Oh my god.
I'll fruit punch that wall down. I hate myself. Am I even American? I didn't even know Kool-Aid man.
I hope you at least know Sunny D, Brittany.
Oh, I do. I used to love Sunny D as a
It's
kid.
so much sugar.
I was like,
So much sugar.
why? You know I have a sugar problem. You know what? It's the soda. I had a soda for the first time.
Oh my
in a
god,
while.
let me see that. We don't have that size here.
Okay, yeah, this is a large. I never get a large, but I wanted to help out my coworker. He wanted onion rings. I normally just get a
Oh.
burger if I'm hungry, and I was like, I'll get a large, just be nice. And then I ended up drinking this whole soda.
Maybe we'll go to Burger King later.
And audience, that's why I'm talking so fast.
Brittany, you're up.
I can't wait. Resistance is futile. Aha! I see what you did there. It's a trick question, isn't it? Because we all know it's Chakotay. You can't outsmart us that easily.
A lot of Chakotay love.
That's how I
man.
assume they wrote
There,
it.
yeah, it went for hard for Chakotay for the rest of it.
KB KB
Yours
said
goes hard for Chakotay, and it's not ransom.
KB said, ask this again in a year or so, and I guarantee you Rebecca Romaine's number one will be kicking some ass and taking points from everyone. I agree.
I agree. I want her to kick my ass.
Yeah, she's awesome. I have a feeling that people are going to fall in love with her. Yeah, we got, along with the Kira gifts, we got a shit ton of Chakotay gifts as well. It was great. From Twitter, do we have anything on Twitch? Not quite yet. We are moving on to Reddit, and people on Reddit love this question. And I'll go ahead and read the first. From Forgot to Reddit, Will Riker, because he's number one. I mean, you can't argue with that, but you're not the only number one, Will. There's Una, and there's the cute freaking Pipple, who's a good boy. He's a good boy.
Babe. Good puppers.
Like Schmitty Workerman, Jetson. He was number one. SpongeBob reference for all you youngins listening.
I'm too old.
You have kids, whatever.
Yeah, we've only gotten into the musical SpongeBob, not the cartoon.
Okay. I was going to say, you got the good stuff like She-Ra. So, the Spartan Exile said, Kira Nerys easily. I like how she was originally at odds with Sisko and how their relationship was developed over the first couple seasons.
Mm-hmm.
When we see them cooperating later on in the series, it really feels earned because of this development. Besides that, I really liked a lot of the episodes dedicated to her focused on overcoming a personal hatred and learning to work toward the greater good.
Yeah.
Fan, that's what I talked about.
Yeah.
Yes, Kira.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, great comment.
Yeah. Blood Bowl said, without question, my favorite first officer is Spock. He's written so well, with his internal struggle fitting so neatly with the very real situations that so many people have of feeling like they don't fit in and searching for themselves. His character just speaks to me in that regard. I like it.
The search for Spock.
I mean,
when they said searching for themselves.
When you think of how many Spock fans are out there, right? Like so many, the fact that they pretty much are the reason that he came out of retirement after never wanting to play Spock again. I mean, so much love for Leonard Nimoy and the character.
You ask any random kid on the street and they'll know who Spock is, even if they've never watched Star Trek. They'll be like, oh yeah, pointy ear dude with a 60s Beatles haircut.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you're right.
From B. Flaminio, Riker is the consummate first officer. There are so many episodes where Picard gives him a task and he just takes charge and owns it. Yeah. I mean, he does. How many times? I mean, we could play a drinking game probably. How many times does Will be like, dude, you can't go on the away mission? Picard's like, fuck you, I'm beaming down, homie. And Will's just like, yeah, okay. Like, he just takes
Not always. Sometimes he's like, no, you have to stay.
You really have to stay this time.
I really love their $5 word consummate here because he really does consummate quite a lot.
Yeah, he does.
With any being he can.
Yeah, indeed.
He makes it work.
And Ransom tries and picks all the wrong ones, like salt vampires.
He really does.
So...
Okay, next we have Holocloak. So this might be because I'm watching DS9 right now, but I'm going to vote for Benjamin Sisko. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
He served as first officer aboard the USS Saratoga. I think he's noteworthy because we've never really seen him act in that role, but based on how he turned out, we can sort of get an idea. One can imagine the sort of bluster and bravado Avery Brooks would have brought to the table, and it would have been interesting to see that sort of an officer, what sort of an officer Sisko was in his early years at Starfleet. Sure, there are plenty of other nominees whose job as first officer we get to see firsthand, and that's fine. But, for now, First Officer Sisko is a bit of a mystery. One that we can speculate on, based on what we know of the man now, and I think that's a more interesting conversation. Damn, these comments are delightful.
That was very good.
Reddit killed it this week for the mailbag. I'm really happy.
I can't believe I didn't think of him.
Well, it's a great answer, right? Because him serving on the Saratoga and the way the Saratoga gets destroyed, I mean, that really, kind of builds Sisko into who he is for the rest of his life, right? This grudge against Picard and maybe underlyingly like this grudge against Starfleet. An officer who didn't want to do the job anymore and kind of gets thrust back into it and then becomes kind of like the best possible version of himself. I think it's a great.
What if we got a Sisko prequel, which was called Star Trek's Discovery? CJS All Access, please.
Erik, would you like to add something?
Well, I wonder how he would have been as a first officer because of, when we see the flashbacks with the prophets, he's such a lighthearted, like fun dude in those younger because he's the same age, but acting younger, flashbacks. I wonder if he was more like I
don't think he was more like Riker.
No.
I want to say that Sisko was a very by the book first officer.
I don't know. I wonder.
I don't think that that's who he became, but I think that's who he used to be.
I wonder if he went more by the book after the destruction of the Saratoga and everything. Like he had to strap down and like become that,
and becomes a badass later.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Man. Because he was very regimented in the first 2 seasons or
Yes, it
something.
was. Yeah.
Especially the first 2 episodes because he's dealing with his wife's death and he's
Yeah.
blaming Picard for everything. And
Yeah.
I love the first 2 episodes. Though.
Oh,
They're
this is
good.
good. Such
So
a good.
good.
I will go with the next one. Jimmy's the best cop. Said Spock, no contest.
And a comment very, very similar from Born Akron, Spock because Spock. So lots of love for Spock. NY also says Spock has to be number 1 because he set the standard by which we measure all other Trek first officers, which is a great point. He also said that Cisco proved you could be a good officer and a good parent. You didn't have to pick one or the other.
That's so
Such
true.
a big deal for all 7 seasons
Yeah.
of DS9.
Remember in our other show when we did our Father's Day episode and I put Ben Sisko like basically
Yes.
number 1 on my list and I was like, this man is a captain and a father. And I was like, he's what all sci-fi dads should be. Like, I was in tears.
It's funny because we got a parent-child relationship earlier in TNG with Beverly Crusher, but you don't really see her as the parent on that
Yeah,
show.
she's not really
No.
motherly.
No, she's not.
She's
She
too
slaps
busy
Wesley.
doctoring.
Yeah.
Shut
Well,
up, Wesley.
it is Wesley.
Man.
Maybe that was
Um,
like they did that so there wouldn't be that sense of nepotism as much. They're just like, I forget they're even related because she just like fucking ignores him. Like that.
I'm actually going to switch up the order here real quick because the last 2, because I
Oh,
know
yes.
Erik and Britt will appreciate it.
Yeah. Cert 2, I wasn't sure if that was Surf. Cert 2 said, to poll, Enterprise doesn't get enough love. I understand that. It's a long road. Getting some love.
And Pigeon Whispers. That's her name. I'm sorry. And Pigeon. I'm fucking laughing. I just read it and immediately in my mind, instead of reading it as a name, I just heard that sound. So I was like, oh, I must speak their language. Anyway, CBS Alexis, hire me. Pigeon Whispers said, Saru, hooves.
Yeah.
The hooves.
Yeah.
I love the hooves.
Moves.
Hooves.
Yes.
I wonder if sometimes he doesn't wear the hooves. Do you think he
Nah.
always wears them?
He does that
I think he always
catwalk.
wears
He does
them.
do
I
the-
think
It's the whole thing.
But I
That sway
feel
with
like
the arms.
I feel like he would do that anyways
Yeah.
because he's that
the-
good of an actor.
Yeah.
That method of an actor. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
So good. Well, friends, that does it for our tribute to all of the awesome number 1s out there. I had so much fun with this one. We're going to be back in 2 weeks with episode 12, and you can catch us live next Thursday for our live stream review of the 2nd episode of Disco Season 3. And if you're listening again in podcast form or YouTube, our season premiere review bonus pod is live right now. So if you've listened to this first, go listen to that right now. If you've watched Discovery, we want your thoughts on that. So also real quick, because this is going to be when all of our new stuff is happening, which is very exciting. Make sure to shoot us an email if you'd like to get your hands on some of our new merch and check out the new ways in which you can support our show. So for you guys out in the Twitch world, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We had a blast with all your comments and questions. You guys rock. Thanks for supporting us by coming on these streams. It means the world. We will say good night, live long and prosper. Majram. See you later.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.